Good morning and welcome to REKA Connects 2026, hosted by the Polytechnic University of Lisbon. This two-day conference brings together the REKA European University, a network of universities committed to collaborative education and innovation. We are delighted to welcome participants from Amsterdam, Frankfurt, Ghent, Helsinki, Ostrava, Vienna, Edinburgh, and beyond. It is our honor to welcome the President of Polytechnic University of Lisbon and our host institution, Professor António Belo. The pulpit is yours.
So, good morning, distinguished guests, colleagues, students, and friends. On behalf of the Polytechnic University of Lisbon, it is an honor and a true privilege to welcome you to Lisbon for the 2026 REKA Connects conference. We are very proud to serve you as host institution this year, bringing together our European University Alliance under the warm light of this beautiful city. REKA Connect is always a milestone in our calendar. But having the entire network gathered here in Portugal, sharing the same space, the same energy, and the same vision, fills our institution with immense gratitude. Welcome to Lisbon, and welcome to your home for the next 2 days. Before I proceed, I would like to extend a very special and warm greeting for the two people who have been instrumental in steering our shared paths and who shared the stage with me this morning, Mona and Con, our REKA lead coordinator and Con chair of the REKA steering committee. Thank you both for your tireless leadership, dedication, and vision. I would like also to take this opportunity to express our deep gratitude to Rita and Galen, who soon will be retired, and whose dedication and commitment have been part of REKA from the very beginning. The success of our alliance owes a great deal to their vision, generosity, and tireless work over these years. Rita and Galen, on behalf of all of us, thank you. May I would also like to thank our distinguished keynote speaker, Jorge Cristina. Jorge will be taking the stage to address a theme that is central to our collective mission, from roadmaps to reality, delivering circularity and climate neutrality. Jorge, thank you for being with us and for guiding our reflection on how we can turn sustainable goals into tangible, everyday realities for our smart cities and communities. I must also express a special word of gratitude for our invaluable partner, the Portuguese Plastic Industry Association. When you look close at APIP's commitment to education, knowledge transfer, and sustainable impact, we find a strong connection with the REKA philosophy. Both our alliances and AP believe in fostering entrepreneurship, stimulating creative cross-sector problem-solving, and empowering the next generation to face global societal challenges with courage, knowledge, and technology. Thank you to APIP for walking this path of innovation and societal impact alongside with us. So, we are all here in Lisbon, and being in Lisbon is not merely a geographical circumstance. It means being in the city shaped by the river, by the sea, by the mobility, by encounters, by departures, and by arrivals. A city that, through its history, has learned to look behind itself and to make openness to the world an essential part of its identity. The logo of the Polytechnic University of Lisbon includes precisely a symbol deeply connected with this city, the Latin sails. These sails naturally bring us to the Tagus, to Lisbon's historic relationship with water, and to the circulation of people, ideas, and cultures. They evoke a city that has always been a place of passage, discovery, and encounter. Today, Lisbon is once more a place of encounter. But in the context of REKA, this vocation takes on a new meaning. It is no longer about setting out to discover new territories. It is about co-creating new responses for the territories in which we live. It is about imagining and building together cities that are more sustainable, smarter, more human, and more inclusive. Latin sails speak of us of movement, openness, adaptation, and trust. A sail does not choose the wind, but it knows how to turn into direction. And partners, and perhaps this is one of the best metaphors for the moment we are living through. We too do not choose all the winds of the time. The climate crisis, the digital transition, social inequalities, the pressure on cities, the need of new skills and new forms of cooperation, these are complex, demanding, and sometimes unpredictable winds. But we can choose how to respond to them. And this is precisely what REKA invites us to do: transform the winds of change into collective energy, to transform the diversity of our institution into shared capacity, and to transform knowledge, research, innovation, and education into real impact in our cities and communities. Over the past 2 years, the REKA European University has experienced a period of profound evolution, intense work, and significant achievements. Together, we have crossed institutional boundaries, broadened horizons of education and applied research, and strengthened the connection between our institutions and their local ecosystems. We have done so with a shared conviction that the European University of the future is not built solely through formal cooperation between institutions. It is built through trust, mobility, collaborative learning, challenge-driven research, and the ever stronger connection to the cities and people we serve. REKA is, in this sense, a shared route, a route that brings together students, teachers, researchers, technical staff, partners, and local communities around a common ambition to educate professionals prepared to lead the transition toward climate-neutral, smart, sustainable, and inclusive cities. Therefore, as we begin this annual gathering, I invite you to look at these sails as a symbol of what brings us together. They remind us that moving forward requires direction, but also flexibility. It requires identity, but also openness. It requires strong institutions, but above all, a committed crew. And is this crew that is gathered here today in Lisbon. Our progress as an alliance is deeply reflected in the central themes that guide this year's conference. These themes are not only the academic agenda for the next 2 days, they are our navigation chart, the points of reference that help us transform a common ambition into a shared voyage. The first of these points of reference focus on collaborative and challenge-based methodologies for a sustainable and digital future. As an alliance, we have been moving away from learning models that are closed in on themselves. Just as a vessel cannot move forward if it remains anchored, higher education cannot fully fulfill its mission if it remains confined within the walls of the classroom or within the boundaries of each institution. REKA has sought to open these boundaries. We have championed innovative pedagogies that act as bridges between our universities, municipalities, companies, organizations, and local communities. By bringing real urban challenges into our learning environments, we create the conditions for students to move behind recipients of knowledge and to become co-creators of solutions. It is through this movement that we educate future-ready professionals, people capable of thinking critically, working in teams, understanding complexity, acting creatively, and responding to challenges in sustainability and digital transition. Skills such as green and digital literacy, entrepreneurship, intercultural collaboration, and problem-solving does become an essential part of education. The second point of reference leads us to co-creation of smart and carbon-neutral cities. Fully aligned with the climate goals of the European Union, our alliance has made a clear commitment to contribute to reimagining urban spaces as places that are more sustainable, resilient, inclusive, and human. Over the past years, our joint research, pedagogical projects, and student-led initiatives have addressed very concrete challenges of urban life, clean mobility, energy efficiency, housing, the circular economy, climate adaptation, the quality of public space, and community participation. But we know that the ecological transition cannot be merely technical. A smart city is not simply a city full of technology. It is a city that uses knowledge, innovation, and citizen participation to improve people's life. This is why the principles of a new European Bauhaus are so important to us. We want the transition towards green and smart cities to be beautiful, sustainable, and inclusive. We want science to engage in dialogue with culture, technology with art, and innovation with everyday experience of communities, because the route we seek is not only one of efficiencies. It is also a route towards quality of life, belonging, social justice, and urban dignity. The cities of the future cannot simply be more digital and climate neutral, they must also be more livable, closer to people, and more human. But in order to transform the world beyond our walls, we must also look within. And this is where our third point of reference emerges: inclusive universities. No vessel completes its journey if part of the crew is left behind. And no university can be truly innovative if not also accessible, equitable, and inclusive. At the Polytechnic University of Lisbon and across the entire REKA network, we are committed to reimagining higher education institutions as ecosystems where every person can participate, learn, work, and grow with safety, recognition, and a sense of belonging. This year, we have prioritized strengthened well-being and mental health support systems for the entire community: students, teachers, researchers, technical, and administrative staff. We have also been working on institutional policies that promote a healthier balance between professional and personal life, as well as greater linguistic, cultural, and social inclusion. Inclusion is not an addiction to excellence. It is a condition for excellence. A university that listens to more voices, welcomes more pathways, and recognizes more talents is stronger, a more creative university, better programmed to respond to the challenges of this time. Therefore, when we speak of institutional transformation, we are also speaking of trust. The trust that allows each person to feel that they have a place on this journey. The trust that transforms an organization into a community. The trust that makes an alliance not merely a structure, but a true crew. And this brings us to the first point of reference, the voices of the REKA community. Our alliances is not an abstract framework. It is a living community made of people, stories, projects, encounters, and learning experiences. It is built every day by students who cross borders, by teachers who develop new ways of teaching, by researchers who collaborate and share challenges, by technical and administrative teams who make cooperation possible, and by local partners who connect us with our territories. Over the past year, we have worked to amplify students' voices, to value the experience of our staff, to celebrate stories of cooperation across countries, and to strengthen a common REKA identity without erasing the diversity that enriches. The presentations, workshops, and posters that we'll see here in Lisbon over the next 2 days are a direct expression of this shared vision. They are concrete signs of the passage from ideas to action. They are examples of how this community has learned to transform wind into direction. And as we stand here today, we want to make it clear that we are not gathered merely to celebrate what we have already achieved. We are also gathered to define with ambition and responsibility what we want to build next. The future of the REKA Alliance will be determined by our ability to transform cooperation into integration, intention into action, and projects into lasting impact. But Koen will talk about the future. I'll just add that the knowledge we produce should not remain only within our alliance. By transforming research, pedagogical experience, and applied innovations into recommendations, contributions, and policy papers, we can take the best of REKA beyond our institution. We can actively contribute to the future of European higher education and the transformation of the cities we serve. If the Latin sails remind us of anything, is that every voyage requires vision, coordination, and courage. It requires knowing how to read the winds, but also how to choose the route. It requires respecting the identity of each vessel, while understanding that a fleet goes further when it sails together. That is the strength of REKA, an alliance that does not merely react to the challenges of our time, but chooses to face them with knowledge, cooperation, and a sense of responsibility. An alliance that transforms diversity into common direction. An alliance that here in Lisbon reaffirms its willingness to sail together towards cities that are more sustainable, smart, more inclusive, and more human. Dear friends, with our sails adjusted, a shared route ahead, and the truly European crew gathered here in Lisbon, I hereby declare the REKA Connects 2026 officially open. May these 2 days be an opportunity to explore new ideas, strengthen collaboration, learn from one another, and transform the winds of change into common direction. May new solutions, new partnerships, and new commitments set sail from here towards the smart, inclusive, sustainable, and human cities of tomorrow. Thank you very much. I wish you an excellent conference, and I hope to enjoy your stay here in Lisbon.
Thank you, Professor Antonio Belo, for those inspiring words and for setting such a powerful tone for our future. We now invite to the stage the President of Hoggins and Chair of the REKA Steering Committee, Professor Koen Gotels.
Dear colleagues, it's an honor and a privilege as Chair of the Steering Committee to welcome you all at the opening of this REKA Connects meeting, hosted by our trusted partner, IPL. Yesterday, the pre-program already set the tone with inspiring workshops for different groups, and I could call it a marathon session with the rectors. Inspiring workshops and marathon sessions that led to something, I can say. And the 2 days ahead promise to be just as engaging, relevant, and instructive for the future of our European University Alliance. Looking around, I see energy, I see commitment, and I see a vibrant community of engaged experts. This fills me with optimism and confidence in what lies ahead. First of all, I would like to thank Rector Antonio Belo and his entire team for hosting this important conference, one that is essential for the cohesion and momentum of our alliance. Their hard work, still ongoing, is clearly paying off. Lisbon, of course, speaks for itself, a beautiful, vibrant city with a magnificent history and, interestingly, a bit cooler than Belgium these days, where temperatures have soared to 36 degrees. These days one must travel from Belgium to the very south of Europe to cool down. A telling reminder that climate change is a harsh reality. But above all, our hosts are doing everything they can to make our work and our stay productive and enjoyable. Thank you for your dedication and kind hospitality. Dear colleagues, there's no doubt that REKA requires effective project management. But REKA is not a project. It is a shared high-level mission, a living alliance of people who bring together ambitions, expertise, and commitment to contribute to a stronger, more resilient, and more prosperous Europe. REKA aims to be a European champion of the universities of applied sciences and arts, institutions that play such a crucial role as knowledge hubs for society, because we are embedded in our regions, closely connected to industry, to non-profit organizations, to citizens, to our students, and other stakeholders with transnational, European, and even wider perspectives. Together, we contribute to Europe's socio-economic strength and its value-driven position in an increasingly turbulent and polarized world. REKA, in other words, is the network of the University of Connected Sciences, connecting and conducting several stakeholders that support our societies, our cultures, and our industries. Connecting the local with the global, we act globally, and most importantly, REKA is not an abstract concept, it is you. All of you, administrative staff, educators, researchers, students, each contributing in their own way, you make REKA real and possible. That is why meetings like this Connects meeting are so valuable. They make this community visible, tangible, and alive. So thank you all for being here and for your engagement and commitment. Dear colleagues, yesterday directors came together for an extensive and fruitful workshop to reflect on and update REKA's mission and vision. We also aligned our ambitions as an alliance, an essential step as we look ahead to the upcoming bridge call and beyond. We further discussed key actions and priorities to strengthen our collaboration and impact. After 9 intensive hours, I almost said long hours, but they were intensive, we can say that significant progress has been made. The framework for a renewed mission is in place. We have situated our ambitions and we have recognized some important actions. The core elements are clear. What remains is refinement, integration, and polishing. This work is thus not yet finished, but the foundations are strong, and it will be crucial as we prepare for the next phase of the Alliance, including the upcoming bridge call. What struck me the most during this workshop was the level of mutual understanding among partners, the ease with which we found common ground, the natural alignment of ideas and ambitions truly reflects the strength of this alliance. We are not necessarily aligned because things are easy, but because we share a vision, because we share ambitions, and because we trust each other. Our diversity turns out to be our strength. Like a resilient ecosystem, I'm a biologist, I'm very sorry I have to use this word, we thrive thanks to our differences, thanks to our dynamics, and thanks to the robust connections between us. Let this be the Lisbon Declaration. Our ambitions are deeply aligned, deeply rooted, and shared in a natural and effective way. That is what makes REKA a powerful alliance. Dear colleagues, this is why I firmly believe in a bright future for REKA, with strong partners and meaningful impact for Europe, both regionally and internationally. This Connects meeting is doing exactly what it should. It brings fresh energy, it reinforces our commitment, and it inspires us to move forward together. Thank you all for your dedication, and I wish you a productive and inspiring meeting.
Thank you, Professor Kohn-Goethals. Please welcome the REKA lead coordinator, Mona Roman.
So, dear President, rectors, distinguished colleagues, students, and stakeholders of REKA European University Alliance. After listening to the two rectors, I started to think that how to continue, and I think I a little bit wrote the initial speech. But looking at here today and thinking back, it was 2018 in Frankfurt when my REKA journey started. It lasted several applications and the current project and the future application possibly. But anyway, so I must say that it's so nice to see all the faces from all these years in the audience and feeling really empowered by the REKA European University community. As the lead coordinator, it's my honor also to welcome you to this incredible REKA Connects in Lisbon. And I thought that, what could I say about, I heard some insights about the rectors meeting yesterday, the marathon, and I must say that when connecting this, the vision and mission to the grounds, I could say that the success factors or success criteria of the whole alliance is actually quite simple. Of course, harder to do than to foresee, but it is really that how attractive, how high quality education we are able jointly develop that benefit our students and lifelong learners, and how that education matches the needs of the society and the future developments. That at the end is one of our success factors. It's the attractiveness of our joint offering. Other things, what ultimately then is determining the success is how well we embed all these joint education in the curriculum of students, so that they are not just something that remains for a certain or few persons, but they are really there for all as part of their studies. So then the internationalization, the Europeanization, and all this is part of every student's curriculum. And the third element is the flexible study path. Like how well we actually are able to deliver new opportunities to students, that they can actually develop their own paths in a way that they find attractive and helps them to become future professionals in their fields and beyond. So I think these three are ultimately the reasons why we work and do this. And even if we are struggling many times, because of course integrating everything together and developing is not easy. So in there, when doing this, it's good to remind that ultimately it's also the journey. It's also the journey that is valuable and meaningful and important. So all this collaboration, if we at the moment have different ways of doing things, the ultimate goal is that we find them together, new ways, innovative ways, better ways, and we find also more efficient ways when we collaborate across the borders. So I think this is then the real core. So remember, it's not only the results but the journey, but of course we want to add value to all our institutions, and we want to add value to the students and the society. So this is of course the ultimate goal, even though the journey matters. Okay, so what could I say a bit about current situation? So where are we now? So we just had our midterm review for the Erasmus European Universities initiative that we have had the REKA shift working for the last 2 years. So what we have accomplished over the last 2 years, it's our joint campus, where there are these 50 open courses on twin transition and transversal skills. Then we have organized 25 blended intensive programs and 14 collaborative online international learnings. Then another key point, we have integrated or are in a process to integrate a jointly co-created sustainability module for all curriculums of our degree students. We have co-created a pedagogical framework, EduBase, and reached over 2,000 staff participants in our trainings, and which is about 1/5 of the full staff of 13,000. Then we have established a joint internship program offering opportunities for students across Europe. We had 3 centers of expertise with a joint research agenda, awarded 10 European projects, and our students have co-created over 70 solutions to accelerate the transition towards climate neutral, sustainable, inclusive cities. And we have organized 68 events with close to 7,000 participants, and we actively contribute to 4 EU for All community, which comprises all 65 European university alliances to develop a truly joint European higher education area and research area. And none of this would have been possible without dedication of the people in the room and beyond. So to our leadership teams, I want to thank you for your support and commitment to the integrated REKA European University. To academics and researchers, I thank you for pushing the boundaries when creating joint educational strategies and offerings and co-creation solutions for smart, sustainable and inclusive societies. And then to our administrative staff, you are the engine of the Alliance, navigating the complexities of transnational collaboration every day. And most importantly, to our students, you are the very heart of REKA. Your energy, your critical thinking, and your European identity are the reasons we do this work. This annual meeting is a vital moment for us. It's on one hand time to celebrate our successes, but more importantly, it's also a space to look honestly at our challenges and map out our future. Over the next few days, we will dive into the workshop, share best practices, and co-create our path towards long-term sustainability. And as we heard from the rectors, we are building a model now which is going beyond any single funding cycle, a long-lasting alliance and ecosystem. And as we engage in these discussions, let's think boldly. Let's ask ourselves, how can REKA push European higher education further? How can we deepen our impact on the urban communities we serve? And finally comes a few tips, concrete tips for the Connects program. So if you are a group of students or you are a group of, let's say, faculty members being very close to each other, now this is your time to dive into different workshops. There's a lot going on in parallel sessions. So to get most out of these 2 days, it's important to divide and take part in a variety of different meetings. But very concretely then we have the Edu Forum on Thursday morning, starting at 9:30 tomorrow. And there we will be discussing 30 new initiatives for joint education, for short collaborative courses development. And of course it can be even more, so I really recommend everyone to be in that meeting. And then those who want to look beyond and really think and how can we develop ourselves for the bridge proposal and also for a longer term future, there is a session tomorrow at 2:30 p.m., which is a chance for everyone also to provide feedback about what you think is the current states and where you would like to see the Alliance going. So very welcome to that session starting 2:30 tomorrow. And finally, I wish you all an inspiring, productive and collaborative annual meeting and a huge and wholehearted special thanks go for our hosts, the wonderful organizing team at Polytechnic University of Lisbon. Enjoy the conference, let's shift.
Thank you, Mona Roman. Thank you to our 3 speakers. We now move to the keynote address. Our next guest is a Portuguese manager, engineer, and specialist in the environment and climate change. He is currently a partner and a member of the board of directors at the consultancy firm Get2C and plays an active role in various national and international organizations focused on sustainability. Please welcome Jorge Cristino.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to address some words to the organization, to REKA, and also to the Polytechnic of Lisbon to invite me to address these words today as keynote speaker. But as we already see, you didn't need to invite me because you already have all the inspired words in the opening ceremony. So I think that I'm very with the work facility and very easy because now I can only bring some of my experience as 20 years of public servant. I worked in a city, Guimarães, in the north of Portugal. I lived there for 20 years, and I worked in the municipality for 10 years. And the Guimarães city is the birthplace of Portugal, where everything began almost 9,000 years ago. And normally we say in Lisbon that Lisbon is the capital and everything around these landscapes. But in Guimarães, we say normally that Guimarães is the capital and everything around is conquers. Anyway, this is very important to share with you this my experience, because this year Guimarães is also European Green Capital. Lisbon already had this title, had this recognition in 2020. It was in a COVID period, and it was awful in terms of all the initiatives that was supposed to happen in that year. But the difference between the most of European green capitals around the last 12 years, I think, of the prize of the European Commission and a city as Guimarães is because the gap between all the pollution, all the industrial impact in that territory about 20 years ago and nowadays. The delta is everything, because it means that you growth, you develop, you become more sustainable nowadays in the territories. And this is also very important. Another thing that I think that is important, and we talked that, now we heard that in the words in the opening, is about two things. One is the ambition, and the other is to decide everyday life. In your daily life, in your personal life, as professional, every day we have to decide. And not to postpone, not to delay for the other day, because the next day we have another things to decide. And when we, after 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, 10 years, there's amount of things that we not decide, and because of that we didn't implement. So what I bring here today is the gap between of our ambition and the delivery. It's very important because we already know that we say in Portugal that we are completely full of plans, roadmaps, and everything that is already set because of the legislation, because of regulation, everything is already set. But normally we assist that besides the plans, besides the organization, besides the strategies, the gap is in implementing, is into delivery what is in the roadmaps. So the challenge is no longer what to do, it is how to govern and how to organize the doing. So this is nowadays very important. For example, PIP, that is one of the partners of this event, as the 22 industrial sectors in Portugal, they did with, we say, the PRRR fund, the recovery fund of European Commission. They develop roadmaps for decarbonization for each industrial sector. And also because we have, not only in Portugal, but also at European level and also in other countries, already the roadmaps for neutrality. But the difference between that roadmaps and the measure and the KPIs is the implementation, is the doing, is about to execute what is in that roadmaps. So this is not an environmental agenda, not just an environmental agenda, it's a development agenda. And this is very nice because we already had the Sustainable Development Goals of United Nations, for example. And before that, I think that some of you remember the Earth Summit in Rio de Janeiro in 1991. In that time, they also set the local agenda. And this is also very important in this SDG Agenda 2030 because it keeps the multi-level governance. It's very important to set a national strategy, a European strategy, or even a document like Agenda 2030 that can set our direction, like Antonio Bello says in the opening, that is very important, but then it's also important to implement at local level. So this is nowadays a very important topic, is the multi-level governance. So staying in place is not a neutral choice. It's, well, nowadays we know that cities concentrate emissions, resources use, and risk, a very high impact risk today. We are, like in Portugal, normally say we are very exposed to climate change. We have a lot of territory vulnerabilities and also a lot of population vulnerabilities, social vulnerabilities. So climate change is not a threat to urban fiscal stability, but is above all social cohesion. Besides that, I would like also to say that normally we set the sustainable in 3 areas. You know that: environmental, social, and governance, the ECG. There are a colleague that said in a research paper that the sustainability is in 5 pillars. Beside these 3 ones, that is like today, now, and today, in our place that we live, the economic, the environmental, social, and governance, we also have 1 pillar that is time, that we cannot forget, because bring us the intergenerational justice between our grandparents and also our children, and also sons and grandsons, but also the 5th pillar, that is people and happiness. We have to set policies that also bring people more happy and local more sustainable, territory more sustainable. So the targets in the regulation, as I already said, are no longer abstract. We know that. I already said about the regulation at international level, not only at European level, like climate law, the Circular Economy Action Plan, and all the regulation for also for companies. But at national level, we have a lot of regulation. Everything nowadays, we have also the impression that are regulated. But at city and local level, we already have these, not the regulation documents, but the plans that is necessary to delivery at the national level. But then the level from the municipality or even at the national level, because some of the investments of infrastructures are governed by national level, is that gap that I identify in the initial slide. Why roadmaps don't translate into results? There are 5 governance gaps that decide whether ambition becomes reality. One is the fragmentation. Nowadays, we know that each area, not only at local level, but also at national level, work in silos. They are not cross-sectoral. They work in independent areas, visions, perspectives, and also decisions day by day. And this is very important to integrate all the different areas to become multidisciplinary. Like the initiative of REKA that brings that cooperation, that brings that transversality, is also important in the territory to have this, to combat this fragmentation. The other I would say gap is the short political cycles. Elections with clashes that interrupt the cycle with long transition timelines. This is also a gap normally that doesn't translate into results. So the vision, the perspective that we can decide things and design things that go longer than of our political cycle is also very important. The weak project pipeline is another one. Normally, we, well, I can say with some experience, I know that there are different cultures among our European continent, but I would say it depends in the cycles, but I would say that in some ways we not design sustainable projects. And this is nowadays very important. And to design sustainable projects is also to bring the private sector to the public sector. This is also very, very, very important. No common metrics. For example, nowadays it's a little bit different, but until, I would say, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, we were in a challenge not only to measure economic KPIs. GDP was the main indicator that measures everything. Is no longer the main metrics nowadays. So, like emissions is a metric. Another social KPIs are metrics. Climate KPIs are also a metrics that we have to implement. The other is the misaligned incentives. So nowadays we have a lot of different funds, a lot of different programs. a lot of different rules that makes we are eligibility here, we are not eligibility there. Then we cannot bring a partnership between universities, territories, and companies, and everything is not like a puzzle to make a proposal for a call. I think that the next European budget and the next European program funds will get finally a simplification of that rules that is very important to implement some of the projects that need these incentives. So the indicators, like I already said, is very, very important. We cannot measure, so we cannot govern it as you know it. The three layers of measurement, and that is very important also to measure the cost of inaction nowadays, because we can measure a lot of things that we implement, but we normally not measure what we didn't implement. This is very important for in the climate change problems with the adaptation impact that the risks that we have in the territory and so on. So nowadays we have to design scenarios with the models that we have at climate level to see what will be the impact if we not implement anything. So the cost of inaction is also very important. So the outputs of the project's launch, the investments, the policies adopted, the outcomes of everything that we can measure in terms of KPIs, resource saved, resilient built, emissions, biodiversity, for example, green infrastructures, and so on, the resilience of the infrastructures, and also at this level linked with the impacts of damage avoided, health gains, fiscal savings, assets protected. For example, Antonio Cohen said in the opening about these heat waves that normally we have nowadays, not only in Portugal, but European level. Besides that, you know that Europe is become hotter and hotter, and these heat waves make this continent more exposure at this hazard. The things that this have impacts not only in our health, but also in the work efficiency, also in terms of deaths that we have in the hospital service and so on. So this hazard and the impact and the risk that we can measure at this level is very high nowadays. So the real benchmark is not the ambition of our roadmaps, as we already said, and in terms of REKA also, we have this ambition as a network, but is the cost that we impose to the citizens when we delay. And this is linked to what I said in the beginning. Every day that we delay a decision, that we postpone a decision, is a cost that we put in our citizen. So there are a lot of levers that I could bring in the presentation, but I bring three levers where governance becomes concrete, where at the city level and also linked with, we can do linked with the universities and also companies. The first one is procurement. Nowadays, green procurement should not only be in the regulations, but also should be a mindset. Should be a thing that we implement every day. who have responsibilities in the municipalities, in universities, in companies. It's like when we go to a market and decide to buy anything for our houses. We have to have the mindset to see what is more sustainable, what can impact in the life cycle of that product, what could be more sustainability, not only in terms of the life cycle, but also in terms of the impact, environmental impact, but also in terms of the price, and so on and so on. So every organization, not only municipalities and so on, should and have to, this is a must-have topic, that the aimed circularity and also sustainability in procurement to deliver their roadmap quietly, contract by contract. So this is one of the levers that I should say very important. One of the most, normally when we measure the emissions, one of the biggest sector that normally we are linked to is energy and also mobility, transport. But there are also a quiet sector that is very, very, very important in the also very high impact in the emissions and also in circularity, is food. Food is one of the most important nowadays area that have the impact in the emissions, and we have also to become the distance between the producer and also the consumption to deliver this one of the most important circularity and decarbonization. The other is the planning of the territory. Reusing land, buildings, urban spaces, we don't have to, every time that we want to design a project or build a new area, we don't have to build in other land use that is not already occupied as artificially. This is very important. Nowadays, rebuild where is already urban and so on. This is very important because of circularity and also the planning of the territory and decarbonizing the economy. So this is how we can implement the strategy. This is very, very important. Even in some spaces, in some areas that we already have some buildings, we can also upgrade the buildings to get more capacity. It is the case, but also to upgrade with the green and blue areas. That is also very important to become more, less hotter in terms of the climate impact. So this is the lever 3 related with the planning land use. The green infrastructure. This is very important, not only to connect people to nature, that is also very important, but besides that, green infrastructures in urban areas protect us in terms of the climate impacts. And this is one of the levers that I would like also to bring here. Planning decisions define our emissions and vulnerabilities for decades. Then this is very important. Green corridors reduce urban heat, manage stormwater, and improve air quality. They connect mobility ecology, and climate adaptation at district scale. So this is also very important. So delivery requires these enablers, not only to have ambition. Ambition also is very important, but then the second level is to deliver these requires. And there are 4 enablers that I bring today. Data monitoring, Earth observation. The space economy nowadays is very important. For example, in my company, Get2See, we nowadays, and we delivered yesterday to European Space Agency, data software to measure the adaptation impact at territory and assets level. And this is only possible because we have a lot of data in the Earth observation sector, and now that is very, very important. So the other is the easiest way to do nowadays with artificial intelligence, to have dashboards that can easily bring us the KPIs and measure it in a click. So this is also very important, especially for the decision makers in the territory. The other is the institutional capacity and integration. I only talk about this once, but also it's very important. This cross-department coordination inside an organization, this multi-level alignment that nowadays it's very, very important. It's not only important to have cooperation and partnership between organizations, but inside of the organization. The other is finance and incentives that I already said about life cycle costs in every decision. And also this is very important. And the last one, but I would say that this is my preparation, that this is my first one, is the partnership and cooperation with university, business, and communities, co-design and co-delivering. This is also very important. In that experience that I said to you in the beginning in Guimarães, the success of the European Green Capital begins when we put everyone in the table. Universities, when we bring universities, when we bring not only the territory, but also the private sector and the community. When we make all these things working together, we believe that anyway, besides the recognition in the prize, Mohan already said about that, is also the journey, that this is very important in the process. So the roadmaps become real when institutions have this capacity, data, incentives, and also the partnerships and to act. And I'm almost finished the presentation, and I would like to say to you the 5 conditions for the executive transition agenda. These 5 principles is consistency, long-term targets, cross-sector policies, and daily decisions must align. Coherence, climate, circularity, inclusion, and economic development are one agenda. This is also very important. It's not only the technology that is very important as a tool, it's not only the development that is very important as a target, it's not only the way that we do, because the sustainable agenda or environmental agenda is also important, is one agenda that we should have, combining these different levels and perspectives. Also continuity. Key transition projects must outlast electoral cycles, and also this is very important. The territories, the cities that more develop and give happiness communities is the communities that have decision makers that see beyond of that political cycle. Co-creation, university, business communities, and youth must be part of that delivery. Nowadays, for example, normally I go to COP, to the Conference of Parties in the UNFCCC, and that last year was in Brazil for climate change. And nowadays, Portugal, for example, have one young person that is in the table of the negotiations, representing also Portugal, besides the technical officers that are in the negotiation. For example, accountability, progress, and the cost of inaction must be made politically visible. This also brings one of the principles, that what we don't communicate, it doesn't happen. Communication is very important nowadays. And if we don't communicate what we do, it doesn't happen for the most of the people. So also, this is very, very important. So, in my last message, or my main message, our citizens will not judge us by the beauty of our roadmaps or plans. They will judge us by the reality of the streets they live in. So, thank you very much for the invitation, and have a nice day.
Thank you, Jorge Cristino, for your contribution for our project. Before we bring this opening session to a close, we would like to ask everyone to gather on the infinity stairs at the back of the auditorium for a group photo straight after lunch. We now invite everyone to the coffee break and U posters in the foyer on the -1 floor. The parallel sessions start at 11:30. Thank you. Please check your program for room details.